Today I've decided that I'm going to upgrade a few components on my electronic drum kit. There's nothing truly wrong with it, it's served me well for a good few years now. However, a couple of things have been bugging me for a little while, so I think it's time for a change. In this box I've got a new drum carpet, and over there I've got some other boxes with some more bits and bobs that I want to upgrade. But first I need to get this kit packed down. I've set up in a bit of a different spot for reasons that will actually become clear in a bit, but let's get these boxes open. I'm sure you can tell what's in there, and we'll see what goodies I've got inside. So I've bought a brand new cable loom, it's from DrumTech, it's all labelled. I needed some larger cables, hopefully these will fit the bill. A white DrumTech Pro mesh head. I like these heads and decided to get a white one, but it is a little bit more transparent than I thought it would be. My old kick drum beaters are a bit messed up, so I thought I'd get some new ones, why the hell not? This old snare stand that I've been using for ages has seen better days. This bit's gone a bit flat, which means it's not very adjustable anymore. Yeah, it does not adjust easily. So I bought this Gibraltar stand with the Ultra Adjust ball on it. I'm a big fan of these. Nice. And then I've got this Tama Club Jam snare and kick drum to convert. I mainly got it for the kick, I wanted to go up to an 18-inch pad. I'm hoping it'll be a little bit sturdier than my old 16-inch conversion. I also thought it'd be nice to have a different finish on my drums, hopefully it won't be too hard to match this wrap for my other drums. I could have bought the full set, but I didn't really want or need the 10-inch tom or the floor tom. So this is what's arrived so far. Another delivery's just arrived at my house. I'm going to go pick that up. But what I thought it would be fun to do before I turn these into electronic drums is to put them together as acoustic drums and sample them. This is the ridiculously over-the-top microphone setup that I've borrowed from Dan at Rockhard Studios. It's complete overkill for what I'm recording, but I sampled in a very similar way with an engineer for my last batch of samples, and it gave me so much choice for different sounds and configurations that I gathered, why not do it again? Since I'm recording the drums one at a time, it means I can get clean audio from multiple sources and then mix and match the microphone setups for different styles of kits. Also, this is the first session that I'm doing completely on my own, so having some built-in redundancy isn't a bad thing in case I mess anything up. Now that I've sampled those drums, I'm going to take apart this old 16-inch kick drum trigger and I'm going to put it inside this new 18-inch drum. I'm not going to use all the parts, I'm just going to take that platform with the foam out and I'm going to leave the trigger inside. As you can see, the trigger is just a really rudimentary trigger. It's basically just a piezo wired directly to that barrel jack. So if I did want to remove that trigger, I have to actually disconnect the wires in order to get the barrel jack out. So I'm going to leave that in there in case I want to use it again down the road. And instead, I'm going to put this inside it, which was a rim trigger from a drone trigger, but Mike from Drone Trigger was kind enough to send me an updated revision of the rim trigger, so this was just going spare. There's a couple of reasons that I want to use this. The first is that this mini jack means that I don't have to destroy any wiring if I ever want to take this trigger out. And the other thing that I really like about it is it's just the right size for one of these trigger cones that I've got just to stick on there. So I've got a couple of these knocking around. I'll just double-sided tape that on, stick that onto a bracket like in that drum, and off I go. Now annoyingly the vent hole on this drum is up at the top, and usually I'll just drill out the vent hole and that's where I'll put my jack, but I don't really want my cable popping out the top of the drum. So I'm going to probably drill a hole somewhere down here so that it's out of the way, which I'm not amazing at, so fingers crossed. Okay, that'll do. So close. I really thought that turning those brackets around would make that meet the MDF, but I guess not, so I'll find some kind of support. I think this is going to be pretty heavy by the time I'm done with this. Yeah, cool. Should be enough for me to test. It's not going to connect my second beater, is it? Yeah, that's where it needs to be. If you do ever think about doing something like this, never underestimate the importance of planning. Nice. Right, well that took a lot more effort than I expected and it became very convoluted. But for the time being it was using stuff that I already had, so that will do. The other modification that I need to make is that I was going to use this riser for this 18-inch kick drum, but it's clearly not designed to be used with a riser because the legs are too short. But the legs that I used for the 16-inch conversion are longer because they're designed for a full-size bass drum, so I'm going to swap those legs onto this drum. I'm going to install the riser. I'll have to move that patch again, unfortunately, so that it meets up where these attach. Then I'm going to put my new mesh head on and I'm going to stick a fresh patch on it. Always put a patch on, even if you're not going to use a felt beater. And I'm going to try and see if I can remove the logo from the front head. So this little 12-inch snare drum is just going to become a 12-inch rack tom pad. I'll take the snare hardware off it, and I'm also going to install this drone trigger inside it. And I think I'm going to replace the mount here because I don't think it looks very good. I'm going to replace it with this one, but I don't think the holes will line up, so I'll probably have to enlarge them. Now that I've looked at it, what I'm actually going to do is drill another hole just above this one. I feel like that'll be the cleanest way to go about it. And then the last thing that I need to do is drill out this vent hole. Now that I've converted these drums, I want to try and wrap my other drums to match. I've gone the cheap route with this and I'm using vinyl wrap, so I've just tried to get as close as I can. I want to match these snares to the hoops on this bass drum, and this is the closest I could get with a couple of tries. It's not a perfect match, but I'm hoping that with the snares not being at the front of the kit, it will match well enough for the time being. And for my additional tom pads, I'm trying to match this Galaxy Silver, which is not easy when cheaping out with these vinyl wraps. This glitter silver that I picked up first is miles off, so I've got a tint wrap coming which I'm really hoping will bring it closer to it. In the meantime, I'll get the digital snare wrapped. Oh, dusty. Wow. And that is the digital snare. This is the shell from the digital snare. It's got this little block on it, and I'm going to take that off so that I can remove this wrap that I previously put on the shell. I'm going to do what I did previously, which is hide the seam along this bit so that that block covers it up. Nice clean head. Okay, so my tint wrap has arrived. It looks a lot lighter than it actually is because of the backing paper, but I'm really hoping that that plus this will equal this. Now, there's every chance that it won't, but I'm just going to have to go for it. I also had a second tint wrap that I thought I'd try out on this Alesis strike shell, but to be honest, neither are really right. This one is darker, but it's also weirdly a bit red, so I think I'll wrap them both with the one on the right, despite it being a little bit light. Time to put the hardware on and see how things look when they're finished. The power of editing. Right, that's all of the drums wrapped. I don't need all of them in one go, but let's put some of it together and see how it looks.